as Russell Brand. Yes, he's very, 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 very dear friend of mine. We go way back.
We've got a lot of history from the projects, of course.
Yeah.
This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. With all of the stuff going on revolving Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, which I covered over on my other channel, it's very interesting to note that all conservatives are in on these stories that get fed to them from the government themselves and the mainstream media themselves. They think they're uncovering something that they're actually getting fed deliberately. It's just a honey trap that the government puts out there. Remember, this is the conservative movement wants to get rid of the FBI and the DOJ and the CIA, which of course we should, but they want to get rid of them because they've been targeting Donald Trump. So they think they're all fully corrupt, but at the same time, then they're going to arrest one of their own, P. Diddy, right? So they can't think like that to say, well, wait, if they're all corrupt and they're going after Trump, why would they go after Puff Daddy? Well, sometimes they work for them, sometimes they don't. I mean, this is nothing more than a trap. And it doesn't mean that P. Diddy isn't doing the things that they're claiming. He's 100% involved in those things. I mean, most people have always known that about P. Diddy. He hasn't even produced a song. I don't think anybody knows a song that he's produced in 20 plus years, but he's one of the richest people in America. He's one of the most prominent influencers in America, and he's always around all these celebrities, right? Kind of like Jeffrey was. We'd always see Jeffrey at these events after the fact, showed pictures of him with celebrities, pictures of him with Trump, right? And we always see Puff Daddy getting keys to New York City from Freemason Mayor Adams, right? So the story is out there deliberately. Now, it's obviously a distraction, and they're going to probably continue to play with people's minds and have Diddy off himself and then get sent underground over to everybody's favorite bagel country over there, because that's usually where they go. But it's very important to note this aspect of it, because remember with Jeffrey, how everybody out there who follows the story and the flight log that was fed to them from the government, they all just continue to give Donald Trump a free pass because they don't want to believe their hero is involved with these guys, right? Well, here's another perfect example, right? Because with P. Diddy, we'll probably find him associated with guys like, he is associated with Donald Trump. In fact, I covered that in my previous video on my other channel about how Donald Trump said that he's one of his closest friends. He's a good friend of him, right? But they don't want to believe, well, Trump wasn't involved in that aspect because that's not convenient for my narrative, right? Well, here's another perfect example, because Russell Brand, and thanks to a subscriber on the website, A Warrior, for sharing this video I'm going to play for you that you need to see, of Russell Brand on a plane with P. Diddy, and they're talking about what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? And here's an article that just came out. Russell Brand recalls very intense Sean Diddy Combs taking him on an enforced holiday. You can't say no to him, he says, and you'll see in the video clip that I play, it's not really about saying no to him. I mean, P. Diddy makes it very clear that they are very, 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 very good friends, right? So if you don't understand how this works, and of course you can see a lot of photographs of them together doing Masonic handshakes, they're around each other a lot, right? If you don't understand how this works, COINTELPRO is the counterintelligence program that the FBI created. They created it in 1956. They claim, just like they claim they don't clone, they claim they don't use MK Ultra anymore. They claim that they only used it from 1956 to 1971, but they use it today. And what counterintelligence program, what COINTELPRO is the government puts agents in organic movements to infiltrate. So in other words, there was a truth movement going on. Many people were waking up. Most of you remember, there's so many channels now we all forget about because they've all been wiped off pretty much the face of the internet because they got their speech taken away. They tried to come back. They continued, got erased, and they finally waved a white flag because it was frustrating. Nobody has the time to continue to put up with this censorship, right? Except for, well, you know, a guy who sounds a lot like me who's continuing to try to put up this fight for everybody out there to wake up new people, of course, because YouTube is the most popular website on the planet. So if you're going to reach new people, this would be literally infiltrating the hive mind being on this platform. So that movement was big. I mean, every video the majority of people put up would get hundreds of thousands of views. And then what happened was they created the alt-right media, they created Q, and they started putting people like Russell Brand, who were affiliated with every single celebrity, every single Illuminati hand sign and symbol you could possibly imagine. I have 33 tattooed on them. I'll show you all the stuff in a minute. They put them in the movement, and they started talking about a lot of similar topics, but they kept you trapped in believing that your vote counts, believing that the Republicans were going to save you. Don't start a revolution. Don't think freely. Stay inside of this little trap. where you think that your vote's going to save you, where you think Donald Trump is going to save you. That's the point of the alt-right hijacking. That's the point of the counterintelligence program, right? So they put Russell Brand in place. And then, so if you don't understand how this works, what they did and what they do is things like Russell Brand getting baptized, right? Because this erases all of the stuff from the past. You going down a rabbit hole of Russell Brand, you listening to someone like me saying Russell Brand is really one of them. And they said, but he's baptized now, right? He's baptized. So what this does is it lures Christians into believing Russell Brand, especially something like a baptism. They'll hear me and they'll say, how dare you? He's baptized. Who are you to judge? Those are all mechanisms that they have put in place that they'll use to protect Russell Brand because they want to believe that somebody evil could become good. They don't understand how Mozarting works, which I call Mozarting, which is if you're in these secret societies, you're involved in these acts like Russell Brand is most definitely involved in, like Diddy is most definitely involved in, you get whacked, period. It's like the mob. You don't go out in the public and turn on them, and then all of a sudden, I'm against the New World Order. I'm now a Republican. I'm now getting baptized, and I have millions of people following me, and I'm uncensored. That doesn't happen unless they want it to happen. Of course they want it to happen because they need people to be trapped in the left-right paradigm, right? So Russell Brand does all these things to lure in an audience. He suddenly gets baptized. Now all of a sudden this Satanist is a Christian, and all the Christians fall for it hook, line, and sinker because they're weak-minded. They're lukewarm Christians. They're watered down into, believing that anybody out there who claims that they're baptized is suddenly baptized, right? Satan himself could come out and say he's baptized, and some of these Christians would be like, look, Satan's baptized. He's been saved. Because all they need to do is see a picture of the guy in water, deliberately stage photographs, right? Like if anybody's getting baptized and then they're staging it, blasting it all over social media. I mean, look, I know people out there follow formulas, right? So a lot of normal people do that because they've seen it, because they've been engineered to do it, right? But this Russell Brand deliberately gets baptized so that people think that all of a sudden he's saved. Don't worry about his past. Don't worry about the allegations against him, which have been countless ones about disturbing acts of, involving doing things against somebody's will. I'll put it that way, right? Don't worry about that. Russell Brand's now baptized. So that gives him the cushion so that people who dig stuff up and say all these things about Russell Brand, the Christians will protect him. Well, he's baptized and he's one of us now, right? And that's what they want so that he can continue to lure them down a path of deception. He's a gatekeeper. That's what we call it, right? So right after he was baptized, of course, he was putting up videos about tarot card readings, and Christians are just completely clueless to it, right? Wearing Saturn on his shirt. I covered this months ago. Of course, it's been removed. It's on the website, but this is right after his baptism, right? He's holding up tarot cards. He's got the Saturn. He's holding up that that card over his eye. It's got that logo on it, right? And guess what? He's got the logo for the Synagogue of Satan right in his hand, and of course, all the things I've covered over the past with Russell Brand, right? We've seen him do probably more signs and symbols than most people out there. And we've seen him do the all-seeing eye. We've seen him do, everything, right? He's got the 33 tattooed on his wrist. Somehow he's able to explain away to his audience. This is how interfaces it is. He literally has 33 on his wrist, and he says, well, it's one of my favorite numbers. It's a lucky number. Everybody knows this is the number of the occult, really. There's 666, there's 33. Those are the two most significant numbers out in the open, right? 33rd degree Freemason, the highest ranking you can be in Freemasonry. Of course, you can go into other secret societies after that, and that's what usually happens. But 33, of course, represents 1/3 of the fallen angels. 33 is supposedly the year that Jesus Christ was crucified. They love that number 33. He's got it tattooed on his wrist. He's best buddies with Yuval Harari, right? Yuval Harari is the man who's talking about getting rid of the human species. He talks nothing but blasphemy, but he's kissing him on the cheek. They seem pretty close, right? Of course, he has his podcast called Under the Skin, right? And that's what Yuval Harari and all these people were talking about, getting underneath your skin. But now he's suddenly conservative. Don't forget the fact that he was married to Katy Perry at one point. Don't forget the fact that he was also involved with a Rothschild. So if you don't know, you're not going to be involved with a Rothschild unless you are deeply involved. These bloodlines do not intermingle outside of their bloodlines. So he's a Marxist. Everybody knows that. And Marxist is just another term for communist, which is another term for Satanist, right? We've seen him doing the sign over his mouth, and that's the vow of secrecy, right? Russell Brand has taken the vow of secrecy. They're all part of it. It's all a big scam. Anybody who's falling for this is very easily tricked. And that's why I continue to try to do this, is to try to wake them up so that they don't fall. Then they go, well, how do we know that you're not? Oh, yeah. Well, how do you know? Well, for starters, going on 80-something channels. For starters, nobody knows who I am. For starters, I'm not a celebrity. For starters, you know, I mean, I could go on and on and on, right? So Russell Brand is one of them, and I want to play for you this clip that was posted again on the website, and thank A Warrior for sharing it. This is them on a private jet together. Okay, a private jet. Now, what is the narrative going to be for these people who constantly defend the Donald Trumps and the Russell Brands of the world? The narrative is, well, you know, he was once involved. Oh, okay, so he's once involved. So he's allowed to, you know, be involved with children once, but now that he's baptized, he's automatically forgiven, right? Trump's allowed to be involved doing all these creepy acts with Epstein, but now, of course, he's forgiven, right? How do people not see what they're doing here? They're keeping you trapped. They're preventing a revolution from occurring, and you're falling into their trap, hook, line, and sinker. They're hurting you like cattle. So here's the clip, and listen closely to some of the stuff they're talking about. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I'm sure what they mean was just playing some Texas Hold'em, right? Give me a break. Go.
Hey, yo, what's up, y'all? We are on the plane right now, on our way to Vegas. It's called What Happens in Vegas Stays in Vegas. I'm here with this is my new best friend right here. My new best friend.
Hello.
Rusty Rocket.
Is this for Twitter?
Yeah, yes, also known as Russell Brand. Yes, he's very, 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 very dear friend of mine. We go way back.
We've got a lot of history from the projects, of course.
Yeah. From back in the day.
Very rough in those days, a lot of bother in the projects, but we've come through it now. Things seem to be working out.
Yeah.
And I'd like to.
Does this fit? It felt a little. I'm sorry.
Liked it.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah, I felt some affection. I didn't feel comfortable enough to sort of start embracing you, so I didn't want to be.
Oh no,
I didn't want to overburden you with affection, but I felt that you were in a position to rest an arm on me. I mean, I didn't let it cross over into the area of being physically aroused or anything.
Yeah, none of that.
It was a bad thought.
None of that. But you know what it is? We're going out on like a date, a straight guy date, like
straight guy date.
To a guy's night, 48 hours.
Puppy with like
in Russell.
With a normal date between like a man and a woman, or perhaps two gay men or lesbian women. The best possible result of that date is sex. Now, with our heterosexual date, what is the best thing that can happen between us?
We can find some women to have sex.
That is a conclusion.
That's a conclusion. But 48 hours in Vegas, you're seeing us at the beginning of the 48 hours. As you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But we really, we plan on going to the hospital.
Are you going to chronicle the whole thing?
Yeah. We're going to chronicle the whole thing,
It's going to be chronicled.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a recovering drug addict.
Yeah, he's a recovering drug addict.
I can't take drugs or anything, or even drink. I can't drink booze.
Yeah, he won't. I don't know what's going to happen in Vegas, to be honest. He's recovering, but
I'm
vulnerable. Vegas. He's vulnerable.
I'm vulnerable in Vegas. This could be it for me. Plus, we're on a plane. There's been no safety announcements. No one said anything about these seatbelts. It's not been mentioned. People are playing very loud music. I'm wearing a hat that I regret. It's a difficult situation. What's going to happen to us?
I don't know. Me personally, you know, if you go to Vegas for 48 hours, somebody doesn't go to the hospital, then it wasn't a success.
It wasn't a success.
Wasn't a success. So
I'm putting myself at your mercy in this situation, Puffy. I'm using every one of your possible names: Sean, Diddy, P, Puffy. I bought these toothpicks because I think I saw you.
Yes.
As a small token, you provided the plane, the tickets, the hotels to the big fight. I provided the toothpicks though.
And the whores.
Well, okay, we've not discussed that, but if, alright, I will try to. I'm not a misogynist. I'm against that kind of language. I like to think of them as damsels.
So this is the beginning. And
Will I put this on my
Yes, this
Twitter
is
as well?
It's equal access.
Equal access.
Joint venture content.
I provided the toothpicks.
Yeah.
So equal access.
Right now. Stay tuned.
Do stay tuned.
So again, there will be people out there who defend Russell Brand. They'll say because this is how mind control works, right? They'll say that now he's baptized, so that's in his past, right? In his past, he's still famous. He's still uncensored. He's now the face of a truth movement when he was a Hollywood actor and a comedian. What more do you really need to know about that? And I say the face of the truth movement because Russell Brand jumps on a lot of the stuff that people like me talk about. When I talk about, the stuff with Klaus Schwab, for example, right? We talk about Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. I've talked about it for years. I try to go into detail about what it means that they're discussing. The artificial governance, AI governance, right? People like Brand will talk about him too. So the casual person will be like, well, he's talking about what you're talking about, right? Well, what does he go on? He goes on and talks about eating the bugs, right? And he makes you think these things which are true, which they are trying to do. This is called gatekeeping is, right? But he doesn't lead you down how to get out of this. He doesn't lead you down who's really behind it, right? He certainly doesn't lead you into truth about the synagogue of Satan because he's a part of it. So they start talking about similar topics to get the audience who would normally listen to content like this to follow him and follow those people in the alt-right, the Ben Shapiro's, the Daily Wire, right? So then they hear me and they're like, well, he speaks the same stuff. He's just not as popular. And of course, these people who see subscribers, that stuff matters too. When they see a large following, they think it's credible. So they see someone like Russell Brand, they're like, oh, okay, he's saying things similar, and they're more likely to believe what Russell Brand says than someone like me because my subscriber count is low, which is part of the reason that they nuked so many of the channels, because it gives credibility when they see a large following and a lot of views, because they go, wow, there must be a lot of people who think that this isn't some 20 view, this must be legitimate. There must be some people who believe that both sides are working together, that this is a scam. What is counterintelligence? What is COINTELPRO? And then boom, they prevent an awakening by putting these plants in place. So obviously I'm beating, a dead horse here, so to speak, because I've covered Brand so many times, the 666 symbolism, like I mentioned, the stuff with Yuval. But it's so important to note because you got to watch the mindset of these people who defend people like Russell Brand. And you sit there and you go, they're out there and they're talking about, there's Satanists, right? They think they're awake, the MAGA crowd, they're like, there's Satanists. Yes, there are, 100%. But guess what? Everybody in Hollywood's involved. All these billionaires are involved. And then they pick the ones because they have, they come out and say they're Republican. They just go, oh, they're with us. They're with us. They get a free pass. Russell Brand gets a pass. Trump's definitely one of us, right? And they don't realize what, being lied to and manipulation is. I mean, they're sitting literally in a honey trap. I mean, the same people they call idiots, the Democrats, right, who fall for all these celebrities, they're doing the same exact thing. And that's what these, counterintelligence, or what the counterintelligence program is meant to do. That's what COINTELPRO is. It's infiltration of a movement. It prevents actual revolutions. They've been doing it since the 50s, and they continue to do it. They tell you that they don't do it anymore because they don't want you to think they're doing it, right? I mean, we've heard them say, remember Bill Clinton coming out talking about MK Ultra, and he's like, oh, we don't do it anymore. That's sick. I can't believe people did that. We stopped. We promise. Oh, we were doing cloning. We don't do that anymore. So we're supposed to take them at their word, just like you're supposed to take Russell Brand in a pool, in a pond somewhere, telling you that he's now a Christian. And people are like, well, he speaks so nicely and kind. Oh, right. You don't think that's a part of the act as well? He's famous. He rubs shoulders with these people. He's met the Queen of England, for crying out loud. I mean, I haven't even met the manager at the local Dairy Queen, probably wouldn't even shake my hand. So let's be real here. I mean, this is just an utter joke that people continue to see these things. They get sucked into the honeypots, right? They're like, oh, yeah, P. Diddy's one of them. Yeah, he is one of them, right? But who's giving you all this information? Oh, the government themselves are the same ones you don't trust, right? The same FBI you want to get rid of is suddenly arresting a guy, and now the lid's going to blow off of Hollywood because today they decided to do their job. Tomorrow they'll turn on Trump again, and all these people, their brains are just scrambled into believing things that are convenient for them to believe, so they'll believe it, right? Because oh yeah, I knew it. I knew Diddy was involved, right? But what about the FBI? You were against the FBI. You were saying the FBI is corrupt. Why would they go after one of their own then? Oh, well, Diddy must have got under somebody's skin. Well, if Diddy got under somebody's skin and Diddy was going to reveal something, Diddy would have been offed. And they wouldn't have to off Diddy out in the public and announce all this stuff then all of a sudden everybody goes, oh, who's affiliated with Diddy? Who's affiliated with Diddy? Who's involved with Diddy? These people are guilty by association. They would just quietly off him and say he got in a car accident, he overdosed, he put necktie around the top of his bathroom like they did with the Lincoln Park guy, and then he went bye-bye. That's what happens when you look at these stories and these people really disappear, that's how they go. And they make up the story because they control the narrative. Oh, so-and-so offed himself. Oh, okay. And then you might go, well, that's suspicious. Why would he do that? But there's never like, oh, well, he had a huge document of all these names and all these people, and he was going to reveal it to everybody. Because they get Mozarted. They get put with the fishes. They get Luco Brasi, right? They sleep with the fishes. That's how this works. It's like a mob. They whack these people. You don't hear the stories about who's involved and everything else because you don't need to. They control the media. So they only tell you this stuff if they want you to hear it. I thank everybody for being here. Don't fall for any of these COINTELPRO operations because there's many of them out there. I thank you again. God bless all of you as always and your families.